for the crisis in Venezuela. I mean, think of that one. And she looks down with contempt on the hard-working Americans, saying that ignorance is pervasive in many parts of this country. And obviously and importantly, Omar has a history of launching vicious anti-Semitic screeds.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
Senator Kennedy steps up to the mic and unleashes the kind of verbal beatdown Ilhan Omar never saw coming. Cameras are rolling, the room goes silent, and suddenly every reporter realizes they're witnessing a political demolition in real time. Kennedy doesn't hold back, calling out Omar's anti-American rhetoric, blasting her divisive statements, and firing off a line so brutal the entire chamber freezes. If you don't like America, leave. Chaos erupts. Democrats lose their minds, and the exchange turns into the most explosive moment of the week.
Number two, frankly, I don't know why the president felt the need to tweet on this subject at all. You know, when you argue with a fool, you just prove there are two. And I consider Congresswoman Omar, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman Tlaib, Congresswoman Presley, I think is her name. They call themselves the Squad. I consider them to be fools. They hate America. They think America was wicked in its origins, and it's even more wicked today. They ought to be thanking America instead of calling America evil and wicked and racist. But this is America, and they have the right to their opinion. But I don't like to see the president even dignify their point of view. Besides that, I think that the Squad, as they call themselves, they are destroying the Democratic Party. You know, when your opponent is screwing up, don't interrupt him. Let him go. I mean, just looking at this from a political standpoint, if I didn't know better, I would think the members of the Squad were GOP plants. I mean, they think that illegal immigration, socialism, higher taxes, abortion are all moral goods. They think America, Israel, free enterprise are moral bads. That's not what most Americans believe. And that's kind of where I am on the subject. The president has explained his position. He has said, look, here's what I meant. If you're not happy living in America, leave. It's a free country.
This debate today, it's about who gets to be an American. What opinions do we have to be counted as Americans? This is what this debate is about, Madam Speaker. There is this idea that you are a suspect if you are an immigrant, or if you are from certain parts of the world, or a certain skin tone, or a Muslim. It is no accident that members of the Republican Party accused the first Black president, Barack Obama, of being a secret Muslim. It is no accident that former President Donald Trump led a birther movement that falsely claimed he was born in Kenya. Because to them, falsely labeling the first and only President of the United States of America a Muslim and African immigrant somehow made him less American. Well, I am Muslim. I am an immigrant, and interestingly, from Africa. Is anyone surprised that I am being targeted? Is anyone surprised that I am somehow deemed unworthy to speak about American foreign policy? Or that they see me as a powerful voice that needs to be silenced? Frankly, it is expected, because when you push power, power pushes back. Representation matters. Continuing to expand our ideas of who is American and who can partake in the American experiment is a good thing. I am an American who was sent here, by her constituents to represent them in Congress, a refugee who survived the horrors of a civil war, someone who spent her childhood in a refugee camp, someone who knows what it means to have a shot at a better life here in the United States, and someone who believes in the American dream and the American possibility and the promise and the ability to participate in the democratic process. That is what this debate is about. There is an idea out there that I do not have objective decision making because of who I am, where I come from, and my perspective. But I reject that. We say there is nothing objective about policymaking. We all inject our perspective, our point of views, our lived experiences, and the voices of our constituents. That's what democracy is about. So what is the work of the Foreign Affairs Committee? It is not to co-sign the stated foreign policy of whatever administration is in power. It's about oversight. It's to critique and to advocate for a better path forward. But most importantly, it is to make the myth that American foreign policy is intrinsically moral a reality. So I will continue to speak up because representation matters. I will continue to speak up for little kids who wonder who's speaking up for them. I will continue to speak up for families around the world who are seeking justice, whether they are displaced in refugee camps or they are hiding under their beds somewhere like I was, waiting for the bullets to stop. Because this child, survivor of war, would have wanted that. The 9-year-old me would be disappointed if I didn't talk about the victims of conflict, those that are experiencing unjust wars, atrocities, ethnic cleansing, occupation, or displacement like I did. They are looking to the international community and the United States, asking for help. They look to us because the international community and the United States profess the values of protecting human rights and upholding international law. So we owe it to them not to make this a myth, but a reality. I didn't come to Congress to be silent. I came to Congress to be their voice. And my leadership and voice will not be diminished if I am not on this committee for one term. My voice will get louder and stronger, and my leadership will be celebrated around the world as it has been. So take your vote.
Walking into that hearing room felt like stepping into a pressure cooker ready to explode. Reporters huddled in the back, Democrats whispering across the aisle, and everyone bracing themselves for a showdown the moment Senator Kennedy's name was called. The second he leaned into the microphone, the atmosphere shifted. Something in his tone told the entire room this wouldn't be one of those polite, polished exchanges we're used to. This was going to sting. Before Kennedy even finished his opening sentence, Ilhan Omar sat back in her chair with that familiar look, arms crossed, chin up, waiting to throw a counterpunch. But Kennedy wasn't there to dance around soft questions or tiptoe through political niceties. He came to deliver a message straight up. No sugarcoating, no qualifiers, no apologies. Kennedy turned his attention directly toward Omar's long list of controversial statements, the ones attacking America, the ones undermining the country that gave her the platform she uses daily to bash it. The room tightened as he quoted her past comments, line by line. His voice sharpened every time he hit a phrase that sounded more like a grievance against the nation than a critique of policy. Democrats shifted uncomfortably. Some whispered, others pretended to look busy. Everyone knew where this was going. Kennedy paused, looked straight ahead, and absolutely unloaded. "Here's something you may not want to hear," he said, "but it's something a lot of Americans feel. If you don't like America, if you're constantly calling it hateful, oppressive, racist, unjust, then nobody is forcing you to stay. This is a free country. You can leave." You could feel the temperature drop by 20 degrees. Omar's face tightened instantly, her posture snapping forward like she'd been slapped across the table. Kennedy didn't flinch. He didn't backtrack. He didn't soften the blow. He just kept going. He went after the pattern, how Omar praises foreign governments while trashing the United States, how she frames America as the villain in every situation, how she talks like a permanent outsider instead of someone who actually serves in Congress. Democrats immediately tried to interrupt. One objected, another tried for a point of order. A third muttered something about decorum. Kennedy shut all of it down with 2 sentences, reminding them that dissent isn't disorder and discomfort isn't disallowed. The room became a battlefield, Kennedy steady and unshaken, Omar visibly irritated her allies scrambling to run interference. Meanwhile, Republicans behind Kennedy tried and failed to hide their smirks. Then Kennedy delivered the knockout line. This country has given you opportunity, freedom, and a voice people around the world can only dream of. And yet, every time you speak about America, you drag it through the mud. That's your choice. But when you constantly criticize the very nation that embraced you, don't act shocked when Americans question your loyalty to it. The entire chamber erupted. Some gasped, some clapped, others were furious. Omar fired back with the typical talking points, accusations of xenophobia, racism, and bigotry. But Kennedy didn't let it faze him. He simply repeated the principle. America is a free country. You can love it, challenge it, or leave it, but don't pretend to be its victim while serving in its government. By the time the gavel hit, the damage was done. Kennedy walked out calm, confident, completely unbothered. Omar stormed off with her staff trailing behind, visibly rattled. And everyone in that building knew exactly what clip was going viral by sundown. That moment wasn't just a disagreement. It was a reality check, one the American people have been begging their leaders to give for years, and Kennedy delivered it without hesitation.